Hi everyone, it's Ileana and I have a few cards to share with you today. I wanted to use some of the Nouveau Glimmer Paste, and so I started off first by cutting my cardstock with the wonky rectangles from My Favorite Things. And I made this a little more complicated than it needed to be, but I have to leave it in, otherwise you won't know what's going on later in the video, but there is a much simpler way later on. So I'm taking the Lawn Fawn String of Lights, and in my mind, I'm going to do some, what's the word where you you embed the paper pieces and make one flat card, but that's not going to work out for me. So I've taken the pieces that I've cut out and I've laid them onto my cardstock. And now I'm taking the lights that are in the string of lights and I'm just kind of strategically placing them. And I'm using this Tim Holtz masking sheets, and I've just cut down a piece and I did cut it in half so that I had like a place to hold it down. And I'm trying to strategically place where I want my dies to go because I'm going to create my own stencil. You can do this with cardstock if you like, and just toss out the paper once you're done because the glimmer paste won't come off and it'll ruin the piece. But with the masking sheet, or you could use a transparency, you can wash it in your sink. And now I'm going to reuse the smaller light, and I'm just kind of placing it where I want it to be. And I'm trying to play with the angle so that it's not so predictable, but there's not much you can do about which direction. You can only point left or right. So now I've die cut everything with my Big Shot. Now I'm placing my stencil into the corner of the MISTI, and I am just going to take several colors of the Nouveau Glimmer Paste, and I'm starting off with this purple one. It's called Amethyst. Or could it be lavender? I'm not sure. I'll go ahead and put everything in the description and in the supply list. And I'm just going to use an old backing of tape, of the sticky strip, just the release paper, just to protect my work surface. Now I'm using a lighter pink. This one's called Pink Opal. And I'm cleaning off my palette knife with each one. And for the last color, I am going to use a Sapphire Blue. I think it's either Sapphire Blue or it's Blue Topaz. I'm guessing it's the Sapphire Blue. And now I've taken everything off, and I went and rinsed off my masking paper, or my masking thing. And I'm using some washi to, I just wanted to use some glitter washi so that I could use that as the reflection on the die. So I've just put it on a piece of cardstock, and then I just cut it with my die cut. And I'm just using my tweezers to push it into the wet glimmer paste. And because it's wet, it'll all stick together. So I'm just using my craft pick and my tweezers to put the washi tape in there. If you have silver cardstock, you can do that, but I didn't have any, and so I just kind of used what I had. And I did end up messing up my glimmer paste, and I'll show you how I fixed that in just a second. So I'm just going to take a little bit more, and I'm just going to take my palette knife, and I'm just going to smooth it out a little bit. And then I'll add my last piece of washi to it. And then I'm going to set these aside to dry. Now the next one I'm just going to show you again, just because I just did it on a plain piece of cardstock. I didn't do any die cutting of the string of lights part. So I'm just adding a little bit of a lighter purple, And then I'm going to add the darker purple, and I'm going to try to just blend those together. And that way I don't have to put the reflection in. And so I'm just combining the two colors, and I'm just kind of mushing them until I get a little bit of an ombre there. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the red, the garnet red, and the pink opal. So I didn't have a darker pink, and so I just used what I had, and it turned out okay. And I'm just cleaning off my palette knife. I'm starting with the lighter one because I would rather have lighter contaminate my darker rather than the darker contaminate my lighter. But I did a good job with making sure that my knife was clean before I dipped it in. And so for the blues, I'm just going to mix both of the blues. Then I'm going to go rinse off my stencil. And I end up, on one of these, I think I totally messed it up. And then what I did was I just waited for it to be dry, and then I went back and put the stencil on top and fixed it, and it turned out to be okay. Okay, so now I've taken a scrap piece of black cardstock and I've added some adhesive to the back. I just used some 1/2 inch score tape to the back of it. No, I'm sorry, it was Be Creative tape, but I think it's all the same thing. I'm carefully pulling it apart, but the backing has already come off, so I'm trying to keep it from having the sticky come off too much, if that makes any sense. So I've added some multi-matte medium to my little silver toppers, and I cut those out of some silver foil paper. And if I would have thought of it, I would have added some of the score tape to the back of that, but I didn't think of it at the time. So now I'm just using the multi-matte medium to attach it. Now, to be able to thread the toppers through the string, I'm just clipping the string so that it is behind part of the topper. That way it looks like it's one continuous line. And then I'm not pressing down on the string of lights just yet, not until I have my placement set. And so I'm just going to, once again, trim it off. I'm going to tuck it in behind that, and then I'm going to make it appear like it's one long string. And I want the loop to be closer to the middle, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off of that string so that you see more loop. And then I'll use my bone folder to brayer everything down. And the little toppers did get a little crinkly, and so I'm just straightening it out with my bone folder. And this one little topper was a little crooked, and so I was going to pull it off, but everything had already started to dry, and I didn't want to risk ripping the paper, so I just adjusted it the best I could. And then I'm using the bone folder to brayer everything down. Okay, now I'm going to put a sentiment on. These are all the different ones that I've done. I used several of the colors, and it was kind of fun to do all the color combinations. I kind of wish there were more colors to have. It would have been great to come up with different color combinations. So I'm just taking the sentiment from the Lawn Fawn Merry Messages, and I'm just using my grid sheet to line it up. I want to make sure that my sentiment is straight, and so I'm just going to flip my mouse pad over so that the grid lines are showing. And then I'm going to, I could have just stamped it to see if it was straight onto the mouse pad, but I wanted to see if the placement was where I want it to be on the card, and so I just did it on a scrap piece of transparency, and then I could see if I like the placement of the sentiment. And I do like it, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp it. I was trying to debate on what color I wanted to stamp it. I just went ahead with black because the string of lights is black. But I was trying to figure out if I wanted it to be a combination of colors or if I wanted it to be embossed or anything like that. But I just decided to keep it simple. And I'm just going to stamp all of them. And because I used my template in the corner of the MISTI, all of my sentiments can go in the same spot. And now I'm just adding some clear embossing powder. I am very careful to not get it into the glimmer paste because it does feel a little textured. And I'm just going to heat emboss everything, and I will be super careful when I heat that up. Now I'm going to use some glitter paper, and this is from Stampin' Up. It's their Dazzling Diamonds, I believe. But I didn't want to be wasteful of the middle part, so I just cut out a frame. So that's the only part you're going to see. So I'm just adding tape adhesive to the frame, and then I'm going to just put the frame on my card front. And because it's a little wobbly, I wanted to make sure that it was going onto my card front as straight as possible. And now I could add my front to it. I was a little unsure of whether to do a black frame or a colored frame or what to put on the background, or even just to leave it white, but I kind of really liked the sparkly frame around it. And I'm adding some Pretty Pink Posh clear sequins, and I'm just using my crystal katana. Sometimes if you can't get the crystal katana to pick up the sequence, you just need to warm it up with your finger. So these I put the sequence, and then the very last one I just used some confetti from that diamond paper. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Have a great day.